Welcome back to Faith Works. I'm your host, Yazmin, and today's guest is a Puerto Rican comedian from the Bronx.
Madame Bullet is a comedian and was blessed to make people laugh. She launched her company Bite the Bullet Entertainment in 2015 and is known for her parody music video called All the Way Stuffed.
Color veggies, purple yams and blue fern, maple brown syrup. I ain't talking no diet, bitch. I'ma eat it just the opposite. That means I'm all the way stuffed.
Madame Bullet is currently on tour and performing at comedy shows and making people across the globe laugh out loud.
Welcome to the show, Madame B. Yes, so happy to have you here on Faith Works.
I am so excited to be here.
Thank you. So listen, Madame B and I met a couple of years ago. I've booked her a few times for Hot Topics for Cash on the Wendy show. And you're so funny. I always feel like I need her in this piece all the time.
So much fun doing it. I love you. By the way, how are you doing?
We're here at Faces and Names. It's a spot here in the city on 54th Street. I love it. Big shout out to Jessie, the owner, for allowing us to be here.
Thank you, Jessie.
Yeah, thank you, Jessie. And you guys have to check out this spot because they have really good chicken and waffles. And my favorite are their shrimp tacos.
I heard about that.
Girl, I'm going to put you on because we're going to make sure they serve us some before we go.
Oh, good.
Madame B, are you ready?
Ready as ever.
All right, well, let's get spiritual. Okay, so tell us, what kind of relationship do you have with God?
I've always had a really close relationship with God. I remember when I was 6 or 7 years old, many years ago, my mother took me to see Billy Graham.
Ooh.
And I don't know what
I
don't know what it was in my 6 or 7 year old mind that for some reason, all the subject matter was adult, but I understood everything and I just felt this presence come over me. So when he asked people to come up and accept the Lord into your life, I went up. My mother was so she couldn't even believe it. So I went up to the stage and I remember that being such an overwhelming experience. And I remember feeling different afterwards.
Yes.
Even at that young age, feeling so much different.
Right, because when God enters your life, everything changes. You feel this form of peace within. And it's like, wow, I like how this feels. I need more of this.
Right.
So God is a healer, and he is capable of making any impossible situation possible. Now that we know that God is a healer, I want to know from you, how has God healed any traumas that you've experienced in your life?
I've had 2 recent traumas. So first was a physical trauma. I had a stroke just a little over a year ago.
Wow.
And the second was a personal trauma, which was losing a relationship that was in my life for a long time.
Yeah.
So with the physical trauma, it was very difficult for me because having a stroke left me disfigured for a couple of months. And so my face, one side of my face was lowered. And so I was not able to smile. I wasn't able to laugh. I couldn't think properly. I couldn't speak. I was stuttering a lot. And so I remember feeling like, why did this happen to me? Losing faith.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, the relationship I was in for a very long time broke up. What I had realized in all of these things happening, what I had realized was at the end of everything, I had felt so faithless, hopeless. I just felt God had abandoned me.
Yeah, and you feel like he's no longer there. And like, are you listening to me, God?
Really?
Do you hear me?
I felt like that book. Are you listening, God? And so I felt that he abandoned me. And so it was really hard for me when I came to see my mother after everything had happened, and she said, but you have to have faith. Without faith, you're never going to feel better. Yes. You're not going to start healing from your physical ailments or your emotional ailments until either she said, there's nothing that I can do. I can't swing a wand. I can't press a button to restore your faith. But she said, you have to. She said, if you have to force yourself to pray or be thankful, she explained that to me.
Yes.
And so I was angry at her for even telling me. I was angry at her. I was angry at God because I said, well, God, I'm a good person. Why is this happening to me? Why not the next?
Yes, and a lot of people feel that way, especially when good people, go through something that's super traumatic. You tend to feel like, why is this happening to me and not the person over there?
Right.
But different experiences are for people to grow and kind of just like pray through it.
And I don't know what happened. I don't know what shifted, what changed. And I felt good. And then I said to myself, there you go, big guy. There you are. And then I said, so I guess you have been here the whole time, haven't you?
How has God made your life better?
I mean,
The good is
being here with people like you, being able to connect with people like you who, I know people have a hard time talking about God, especially in the entertainment industry, because also people want to be politically correct. No one wants to rub anyone the wrong way. You don't want to offend anyone, but you want to be able to share. We've known each other for a while.
We have.
I actually started, like watching The Faith Works, and I was like, wow, there's nothing, and she's in the entertainment industry, and she's happy to share her knowledge and discuss with other people. So when we had that text conversation where you were kind of not in a great mood, and I was like, and I felt that, and afterwards I felt good. I said, God put me in her life today for that reason.
I needed Madame B to be, able to encourage me, because producing your own YouTube series can be challenging, and it comes with like some form of ups and downs, and at that moment I felt discouraged, and it just happened out of nowhere. I was at Panera Bread ordering my lunch, and I get this text message from Madame B, and it was just like, keep going. You're doing a great job, and I love that you are showing your faith to the world. So God has a tendency of making us uncomfortable whenever he wants to get our attention. Has that ever happened to you, and why do you think that is?
Absolutely. I feel like God purposely makes us uncomfortable, kind of like that sand panty feeling, itchy, scratchy, you just can't figure out where it's coming from. It's something is not just sitting right. I feel like God does that for me, it's to clear a path for you. Because sometimes when you're uncomfortable, you're going to do anything that you can in your power to get yourself out of that uncomfortable situation. So I feel like God is provoking action. When he makes you uncomfortable, he's provoking action and thought within you. It's the same thing when I do my comedy. Some of my comedy is brash and it's bold. But I do it with the intent to reach someone. I'm going to upset you. I'm going to make you upset, or I'm going to make you cry, or I'm going to make you happy. But the whole point is for you to feel something, to react to it, to feel something, and then to do something about it. So I think that's why God does those things, or places even what you may feel as barriers in your life to make you uncomfortable, so that way you can get over that hump and achieve greatness.
Madame Bullet mentioned here that she is a comedian, right? So I want to know from you, when did you discover your God-given purpose?
When I was young. I think there are a lot of things. I was more aware I was more aware of things and the world and people, and self-aware when I was younger, because of the way that I lived, the life that I live, and how I grew up, because I saw so much poverty, disparity, pain, violence, sexual abuse. There were so many things that I saw, but even with seeing all that, I became within my head an adult very fast. I knew since I was young, no matter what profession I chose, that I always wanted to be in the business of helping people.
Wow,
and so people don't realize, so I have a degree in surgical science, and so I help people with my hands during the day in the operating room. I help heal people, I help make people better. I'm assisting the doctor to help people make people better. And then on the entertainment side, I heal people with my words. They always say laughter is the best medicine. It has been scientifically and physically proven that laughter is the best medicine. So I choose to heal with whatever way I can, whether it's to make someone laugh, a comforting word, a comforting word, a hug, even a look to a stranger. You know what I mean? Like kind of the look that you give a stranger on the street, that you catch their eye and you kind of see the pain in their eye, and you just kind of give them like a mental hug, and they feel that, and I see you. I don't know you, but I see you for you. So I always know that God put me here, and that my purpose was to help and to heal people and to bring joy.
Right. So tell us about being a comedian and telling jokes to the crowd. How do you prepare for that?
First of all, being a comedian and standing up on stage to do anything, but especially being a comedian and being a female, is terrifying. People say that I seem to do it so easily, but it is terrifying, horrifying, terrifying. I get diarrhea before, I get the meat sweats, and I haven't even eaten, and I'm like, I get nervous all the time, but it's always because I want to give the crowd a good show. Also, too, sometimes you never know what you're going to walk into, so sometimes I'm not a traditional preparer in the most senses, like most comedians, whether they're male or female, I do write my material, yes. Okay, and just like many other comedians, they write their material, they have writers. We all draw for personal experience. Me more so than anything else, though, because for me, truth is stranger and funnier than fiction.
Being a comedian puts a lot of pressure on you, and sometimes you'll meet those sensitive individuals in the crowd. So how does that work for you? Like, if you offend someone with your material, how do you handle that?
Well, now this also goes back to, this is why I don't write or like to set up too much material before I go in, because I can go in to a place that I think has a particular type or demographic of people, and when I walk in, it's something totally different. So you can get thrown aback and you're like, well, I had this material that is absolutely not gonna work in this room. So sometimes first you have to gauge the crowd.
Okay.
You know, I prefer, obviously when you're headlining, you go on last, but I prefer not to open or not to go early on, because I like to gauge the crowd first. I like to take the temperature of the crowd by watching other comedians do what they do.
Okay, smart.
Okay, and so also, like I said, just being there, sitting there, watching the other comedians, and if my set looks like it'll go over well, then I'll do it. There's always, for me, there's always some little improv, because there is always a groaner, it doesn't matter how good you are. Hecklers, so we call them hecklers, right?
The hecklers, yes.
So my name is Madame Bullet. They also call me Madame Bully. I bully the bullies because hecklers are nothing but crowd bullies. They want to be noticed, they want the attention, and they want to show their prowess. Yeah. You know? So I heckle the hecklers. I bully the bullies. Yep. So if someone does something to me, I'll get up and I'll sit on someone's lap.
Speaking of which, because now that we're talking about the hecklers here, Madame B has a unique way of shutting down the hecklers. Let me tell you, homegirl will interrupt her thing to say, excuse me, sir, is there something more important going on in your phone than me?
I would say, excuse me, do you realize how loud you are? Is there something going on more important in your life and your conversation at this moment than me on stage? No, absolutely not. So sometimes too, like, it'll make the heckler laugh or it'll make them more mad, and then you're like, yes, because I just got so much material on you in these last 3.5 seconds. So that's how I deal with a heckler.
She does handle it really well, and instead of her talking about it, take a look so you can see for yourself.
Getting the ass done, silicone ass, hold on a second. Let me just sit right here. Sir, what's going on, brother? What's good, brother? You gonna talk to my set? You gonna talk to my set? What the fuck you got to say that's more funny and more important than what the fuck I'm saying right now? Bitches, we command respect or what? Wait, shit, hold on, wait, I gotta get up.
Madame B did this parody to All the Way Up called All the Way Stuffed, which I think is hilarious. So how did that come about?
So again, I've been entertaining forever, and doing the comedy thing has always come naturally. And then when I started doing it, but before I was doing comedy, remember I told you I was in music. I was music and theater.
That's right.
I thought when I was younger I wanted to be a singer, a musician, but as I transitioned, as I got to a certain age, I transitioned people, and then hip hop started coming in hard, and I came from a bad place, and I had changed my life. People like, you really have a look. You have a story, you have so much to say, why don't you rap? And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous, that's crazy. So flash forward 20 some odd years later,
now you're a rapper.
As I'm doing comedy, one day I'm in my mother's house, and then my brother says something, and it was to the Nas song, my brother says something, and I'm like, all I need is one bite. And then I'm like, all I need is one bite, 2 eat, 3 scrambled eggs, a couple slices of bacon and grilled cheese and right. So it started off with that one song, right? And then so I said, you know what, geez. My brother said, you should do that. And I was like, yeah, right. And then I went home, I said, he is not lying. I should do it. I said, first of all, I do have lyrical content because I'm so angry with the state of hip hop and music the way it is. I have lyrical content, but I can make it funny with actual lyrical content and to go along with the theme of the song. But I want people to have fun. I want to be the Latina version of Weird Al Yankovic. Like I parallel myself to him.
Now, speaking of Madame B being a Latina, she's a proud Boricua, okay? And you always go to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Why is the Puerto Rican Day Parade so important to you?
As I was younger, growing up, there was never really. I grew up in 2 parallels. Okay. When my first half of my life, I lived in a predominantly African American neighborhood, so there weren't people who looked like me. Okay. And as I got a little older and we moved to a different neighborhood, we moved to Riverdale, and that's a predominantly Jewish or white neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so I never really fit in anywhere. So for me, before I started, I actually work every year for the past 5 years and above. I work for the parade, so I'm not just sitting on the sidelines because I felt like I had to get involved. But before getting involved, like I said, there was no one in any of my neighborhoods or even my schools at the time who looked like me. It was literally, life was black or white. There was nobody in between. No one cared about Browns in the 80s or the 90s. So that for me was the only weekend, because you go to the 116 festival and then you go to the parade. That was the only weekend out of the year where I saw people who looked like me, who represented la cultura para mí. Yes. It was and it was amazing also to see these people. Guess what? They're all happy and smiling and talking to each other. They don't know each other. No one's fighting. No one's getting stabbed, shot, or cut. You know, nobody's taking out their machetes. Nobody's running around doing crazy stuff. It's just everyone being proud of who they are in their own skin, being proud of being Puerto Rican. And then you went to the parade with me.
Yes, I was just about to say that because I've always wanted to go to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and then Madam B asked me about a few years ago, and we walked the parade, which was such a cool experience. You're currently on tour, going to London in July. So what's up? Are you excited?
I am uber excited about everything. So I started the soft part of my tour last week, which was just doing some local events. I participated in Bronx Week. I don't just do comedy by myself and I don't just do parody. I also have a puppet that I bring around for family events, all kind of festivals and things like that. So that way I can engage everyone from seniors to children. Okay. You know? Okay. So cool. So the fun thing about going on tour, I start my hard part of the tour next week. So I'll be in Atlantic City. Vegas, LA, New Orleans, Miami, back to New York, and then London, and then after that, it just solidified it. Yesterday, I'm going to Sydney, Australia.
You started your own company called Bite the Bullet. What is the name? How did you get the name? How did that all come about? And what services do you provide?
So it originally started off as Glitter Rock Life Promo and Productions. And so, again, not only just doing things in front of the camera, but behind the scenes as well. So I started getting, again, as I've gotten a little older, certain things have shifted and changed for me. So although I love being on stage live or doing TV, I really love producing and I love background. I love doing radio also. There's just something that kind of lights me up when I'm doing background work. But then actually a few people made fun of me and they also said, well, Glitter Rock Life, it sounds like a little girl's company. No one's really going to take you seriously. And I said, well, it's literally who I am, Glitter Rock Life. Like I want people to go, that's weird. I said, plus you're also, and the acronym is GRL, which was girl. So I would say cute. GRL, girl power. So cute. So that was important to me. But then
you did Bite the Bullet.
So Bite the Bullet actually comes from Madame Bullet. And now how that worked was I was working with a troupe of comedians. When I first started comedy, I was working with a troupe of comedians, and the gentleman said, they were like, you talk a lot, you talk really fast, and your jokes are like boom, boom, boom. They really hit you at the heart, I said, oh, you know what? We should call you Madame Bullet Fly. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And then what started happening was at comedy shows or on TV or when I would be doing interviews, they would say, this is Madame Butterfly. And I would have to correct them and go, no. I don't even look like I am not as soft and frilly as a butterfly. I don't even look like I could be one. So, and then eventually I just dropped the fly. Okay. So it became Madame Bullet.
I was watching a few of your older videos, and I know that you do a really good Rosie Perez impersonation. Let's hear it, please.
Q. No, not even. It's. What the? It's it. The it is you, Billy. I can't believe you lost that money. Q. What is the quince? It's a food that starts with the letter Q. And I got 7 more, Billy.
I clearly can't help but to notice your turquoise hair. Is this a signature look for you? And do you also dye your hair yourself?
Okay, so dyeing my hair myself? Oh no, child. We have We have done that. We've tried that. I've got enough blue dye and enough blue rings around my bathtub. No way. So I do get my hair professionally done now. I do only do it twice a year. Okay. I do it just before the parade, so it'll be nice and tipped out. Okay. I do it just before the parade, and then I do it for my birthday. Cute. Twice a year to keep my hair with good color, but also to keep it healthy.
Do you have a favorite Bible scripture that you can share with us?
I mean, there's so many, but I think my most favorite is Matthew 7, verse 1, judge not, lest ye be judged first.
Okay, Madame Bullet, so now it's time for my favorite part of the show. It is time to give. So here I have the treasure box. We all know that God loves a cheerful giver. So thank you again for being here on Faith Works. I want you to close your eyes, put your hand in the box, and pick a gift from me to you. Let's see. Oh, that's a cute one.
Oh my, this is so see? Oh, you know. Oh, you and your tricks, God, you know. Perfect. I just have to make sure that my mother doesn't steal it, though.
Okay, so listen, before you go, I want to know, do you have a testimony or confession you want to make?
I actually have a little bit of both. First, the confession is I don't shave during the winter months. No girl will admit that. Get that on camera. So, but my testimony is, and I think we were just talking about it, small, random acts of kindness. If I do one thing nice for somebody, I don't want anything back. The one thing that I do tell them, if I hand somebody food, money, or a kind smile, and I say, just do me one favor, they're like, well, what can I ever do to repay you? Turn around and give that kindness to somebody else. Do for somebody else what I've done for you today, and just show somebody a random act of kindness.
I love that. Thank you so much, Madame Bullet, for being a guest here on Faith Works. You are so amazing. Our tacos are ready! Yes, you guys have to come out here to Faces and Names. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, because these tacos right here are bomb. It's their shrimp tacos. Yes, girl, you have to try it. All right, and so listen, guys, you have to watch a new episode, please, every week. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, all right? And always remember, walk by faith
And not by sight.
That's right, guys. See you next time.